there another broken
Good.
firing somewhere, like KW Elite or something?
Oh yeah, they are. They are. Sometimes everyone wants to be a loser once in their life.
You gotta strive for the top sometimes.
Okay. Are we ready to go? What time is it?
9:03.
Shit, we're 3 minutes late, guys. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 13 people in our live event, so I hope someone's on Zoom. Do we have anyone on Zoom, Maggie? All right. Gina, let's play the video. We're going to have a quick little fun video. Maggie, are you playing the video? Guys, our first live Zoom sales meeting in a while. We're a little confused, so I apologize to you. But we're going to play a quick video. Hit our lights over there, please, Shelly. Thank you, guys. This is the real estate world today.
Ooh, let's go. Got this crib in escrow. 50 offers on it. Had to take the best though. 100 over asking. That's a subtle flex though. 2 days it was active. Buyers ready, set, go. Whoa, the market is popping. Looking to sell, better get you an offer. Looking to sell, get a nice little profit. The gap in appraisal, they pay out of pocket. Offer a listing price that is offensive. Won't even counter, won't sign the addendum. Highest and best, I'm about to present them. My clients are happy, I'm counting commission. Yeah. All cash, quick close, no inspection. Woo! Yeah, let's go. Got this crib in escrow. 50 offers on it. Had to take the best though. 100 over asking. That's a subtle flex though. 2 days it was active. Buyers ready, set, go. 6% fee on this listing agreement. Sign it right here, get the VIP treatment. Got someone to stage it and someone to clean it. I'll have this shit sold by the end of the weekend. All of this marketing I innovated. The kitchen is open, it's all renovated. Show me a single room that is outdated. 3-car garage and a finished off basement. All the appliances top of the line. There's even a fridge for your bottles of wine. Don't use a printer cause I don't got time. I'll send the agreement through up then a sign. Yeah. Bring your best, 5 p.m. no exceptions. No exceptions. All cash, quick close, no inspection. Woo! Yeah, let's go. Got this crib in escrow. 50 offers on it. Had to take the best though. 100 over asking. That's a subtle flex though. 2 days it was active. Buyers ready, set, go. Drywall, this ain't plaster. Big tub in the master. Soffits all intact along with gutters and the fascias. Granite on the counters. GFCI outlets. You gon' trip or break up before you burn down these houses. Please wear a mask if you're looking to show it. Can't have you spreading around any COVID. Left you a binder with all the disclosures. All of the photos, we bump the exposure. All drawers, soft clothes, that's a blessing. That's a blessing. All cash, quick close, no inspection. Woo! Yeah, let's go. Got this crib in escrow. 50 offers on it. Had to take the best though. 100 over asking. That's a subtle flex though. 2 days it was active. Buyers ready, set, go.
That's about how crazy the market is right now, guys, right? 2 days in escrow, 100 over asking, no appraisal, all cash, no inspection. I mean, it's crazy. So Scott, with that, let's come back and let's talk about this. So we are having, we're up to 15 people in the room now, guys. We're gonna have them live. Those of you on Zoom, you can come in the office and wear a mask next to Mariotis. Scott, you wanna pop up here? Let's talk about a couple of things.
Will do.
So we're having, do we need to be centered? Okay. Sit down, Scott. We're going to talk for a while.
All right. Let's wrap.
I'll act like Oprah. You can be Dr. Phil. And we'll fix all these people. You got it on? They don't teach us in law school.
There we go.
Are we on out there, guys? Can you hear?
Green.
All right.
Okay.
So, couple things. That video, as crazy as it is about how crazy the market is right now, right? I mean, it is complete nuts to me. People, I have a number of you agents come and say, well, I don't have my people make an offer not subject to an inspection. I'm like, well, if it's under $300,000, they're probably not going to buy the house because we're just seeing this all the time. It's just completely crazy. Get them a home warranty or do something like that to make sure you're protecting them. So a couple questions came up. And we've said this, I'm going to continue to say it, but we continue to have people burnt. On Friday afternoon again, I had another person, I look at Heather because we say this in every mastermind group, I feel like we've said in every sales meeting, but people are not communicating properly. When it comes to appraisals one, and then I'm going to have Scott dive into the contract here a little bit. I need to make sure you're please protecting your buyer and protecting your seller when it comes to this appraisal thing, because we're having numerous people write things. So we had a buyer, again on Friday, say, we're going to make an offer above list, substantially above list price, not subject to appraisal, said we will pay the difference between appraised price and purchase price. And they'd before been writing offers saying, well, we'll pay $5,000 over it. And then they're like, no, we're going to do this. Well, the buyer's agent didn't go and ask them, you know, what if it comes in $15,000 low? What if it comes in $20,000 low? Well, they had an extra $5,000 to put down. They didn't imagine an appraisal could come in. This one came in $12,000 low. Well, they didn't have the extra $12,000. So I'm like, they need to, I said two things. One is you better go find a family member, see if they find the $12,000 because they're going to lose their earnest deposit at minimum here. But guys, when you've got the buyer, you've got to make sure that you're protecting him. I'm a big fan of saying, you know, whatever it is, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, whatever they have for extra things, and then get proof of funds to show the listing agent that they understand that if it comes in low, they're going to pay X dollars. Protect them, cap them, and make sure that they protect it. Because we're seeing them come in $20,000, $30,000, $48,000 low. Deb Sizek had one $105,000 low. So make sure that they understand if they're saying not subject to appraisal, we'll pay the difference. If that thing comes in way, way low, they've got a problem. The exact opposite of this is if they would have said, we're going to pay $5,000 over appraised price if it doesn't appraise out, protect the seller and put a floor in. We've had the same situation the opposite side. Is going to pay $5,000 or $10,000 over appraised price. Appraisal comes in $25,000 low, $35,000 low. Now the seller's mad. The seller doesn't anticipate it coming in $30,000 low, and now they've just sold their house $25,000, right? $30,000 low. The buyer's paying $5,000 over what the appraisal is. The seller just sold that house for $25,000 less than they thought they were going to sell it for. So we've got to protect people on both sides of this transaction. So what I want Scott to start talking about, we've had this in a number of our mastermind groups. This comes up. We've got a new purchase agreement now. And so in the new purchase agreement, you've got, what is it, 8.2 and 8.21 that address financing.
Right.
So situation over the weekend, offer comes in, listed at 230, and this is the conversation we're having. There's a box now that says, check subject to financing. I think that's 8.2, Scott?
8.2 and then 8.21 is the terms of the financing.
And so then, so there was one offer, 50% down, says, doesn't matter if it appraises out, we're going to pay the appraised price of the 250-ish. Another offer in the low 250 saying, we'll pay up to $15,000 over appraised price if it doesn't appraise out. So if it appraises at 235, your buyer should be good, or your seller should be good. We have another one starting at 230 going up to 260. They did not check the box. We had a Nebraska real agent said, well, we didn't check the box saying it's subject to financing, but in 8.21, they said it was conditional upon getting a loan in a certain amount, which really kind of makes it subject to an appraisal. So I said, what if the appraisal would have came in at 230? Could your buyer then come up with the difference? And they're like, well, no. So what I said in this correspondence, what I've been telling everybody, paragraph 10 is becoming a really important paragraph to me in a lot of ways. They need to write in paragraph 10, if the intent of the buyer is, doesn't matter if it appraises out $10,000 or $50,000 low, we're going to pay the purchase price no matter what. Put in paragraph 10, we're going to pay $15,000 above price. We're going to pay the purchase price regardless of the appraisal. But clarify. You cannot, I don't think, Scott, be over clarifying what's going on in these contracts. And then, so if you could go to the financing contingency, and let's talk about the second part of this. It's automatically subject to an appraisal if they're doing 20% less or down, and they state that they're doing a 5 or 10 or 20% loan, FHA or VA. Then because of the financing contingency of 8.21, it truly is subject to the appraisal, because if it doesn't appraise out, they're not getting their financing that they've asked for in paragraph 8.21.
Well, right. So if you're representing the buyer, representing the seller, you want to pay attention to 8.21 very closely, right? Because it's going to be what happens in an escalation situation if it has an appraisal and the appraisal doesn't go in, right? So if I'm the buyer's agent, I want to be very, very specific if I'm trying to protect my buyer from having to come up with $40,000 cash that they don't have. I want it to be very, very clear. Here are the terms of that loan. It's going to be a conventional loan. and then there's a little blank that you can check where you could say how much, 20% down, 10% down.
So let's use an example. On a 230 up to 250, 10% down is 25,000. So if they're saying I want to get a loan initially at 230 with 23,000 down,
Right.
and their intent really is if it goes up to 250, put 25,000 down or 10%, they need to be put in that blank box 10%. Check conventional 10%, right?
Right, because what you want is to be in a situation where the lender can say you applied for a loan that was going to have an interest rate no more than 4%. It was going to have no more than 10% down, and your loan amount was going to be no more than $225,000, for example. And they can say it didn't appraise. I can't give you that loan. Here's a loan denial. Under that, you've got your contingency that allows you to walk away from the transaction.
So if you've filled out a loan amount, you filled out an interest rate, and you say it's a FHA, VA, or conventional, and then put in the 5%, 10%, or 20% down, you don't need to write it's subject to appraising out, because that financing contingency is making it subject to appraising out. Now, if you don't fill that financing contingency out right, you're in trouble. And that does not matter. Even if you don't check the box, I don't totally understand the box of it's subject to financing, because paragraph 8.21 kind of says it's conditional on getting those terms either way. Right, Scott?
Right. Well, 8.2 says the agreement is conditional upon purchase or obtaining financing, and then 8.2.1 are the terms.
So what if you don't check box 8.2? Because that was the argument the other day. She said, well, I didn't check box 8.2, which means it really wasn't subject to an appraisal, so we would pay it if it doesn't appraise out. But I don't read 8.2 to say that.
Right. Well, I think 8.2
If you disagree with me, do it in private.
well, remember.
I can look stupid all by myself, Scott. Don't do it in front of 17 people.
So 8.2. We do it in private all the time. So 8.2. The 8.2, of course, has a colon at the end of it, right? It says fourth below colon, and that leads into 8.21. So, I mean, you got to read them together. They're not separate clauses.
So what if 8.2? So back to this argument over the weekend. What if someone doesn't check 8.2? Does that mean that if it prices out 100,000 low, they got to buy it?
Right. I think they shouldn't have checked 8.21 then. I mean, because it's all part of the same clause. You should check 8.2 and 8.21. Heather, of course, his point is why even have an 8.2? Why don't they just have them check 8.21? Which I agree. That's probably one of the things
because that was the case. They checked 8.21,
right.
And then they put all the terms and conditions saying
but
this
then
is
they said
important
it's not
to us.
contingent on financing, right? To me, you have to read them together, and I think that if you're going to put in there with the terms of the financing, you're basically making that a contingency, even though you didn't check 8.2. I think you try to read it together. If you're a judge or a jury, the whole point
You're
is
going to say they checked 8.21.
You're trying to give meaning to it. What was the point of this? The point was to read these two things together, and and in this case, it's like, why would they've gone to the trouble of writing all the stuff out in 8.2.1 if it wasn't contingent on that?
Exactly.
So I think what you'd have happen is that I think if you had to play it out to an arbitration or you had to play it out to court,
They're going to say the intent is they wrote an interest rate.
They wrote 8.2 were together, and so therefore that was what it was contingent on.
So
that's my assumption.
Back to the summary on this in the beginning.
Right.
Use paragraph 10.
Right.
Not subject to appraisal. If it doesn't appraise out, we're going to pay this.
Right.
If it doesn't appraise out, we're going to pay $15,000 over this. Right. And then if someone comes and say we're going to pay $5,000 or $10,000 over appraised price, and you're the listing agent, come back. You're not the appraiser. You don't know, because appraisers are doing totally different things right now. Come back and then put a floor in there. Say that's fine. We've sold this for $260. As long as it appraises for $245 and you're paying $5,000 over, we're willing to accept our $250. Right. Whatever that number is, they're willing to accept from a seller. They understand that's the risk if it doesn't appraise out. That's okay, but protect both sides, guys. We're seeing people get burnt all the time on this.
Well, and if you're the list agent and you have an escalation clause and the terms were written based off of a certain purchase price in here, and then the escalation clause jerks it up past this point, you're probably, as the list agent, you're going to want to come back and say you have to modify your financing terms under this new offer as well. Right.
Right, 8.3.
You got to use 8.3.
And that's going to say, if you're an investor, ask Fred what Fred says goes.
Right.
Yeah.
You just read it all together. So you got to go to 8.3, which is 10, which is paragraph 10. That's where
Guys, why are we talking about this? Because we're talking about it 5 times a week, okay, unfortunately. And people are still screwing up.
Well, I know we had an EXP agent who just maybe a month ago wrote a contract, said that they would make up the difference between whatever the appraised price was and the purchase price. That's all they put in there. And, when the appraisal came back bad or low, they went, I just never thought that was going to happen.
Well, that's the problem.
I didn't even ask my buyer if they had the money. I just didn't think it was going to be a problem.
So that was the point I was going to make. Point one is, buyer's agent, if they're telling you they can come up with $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 or unlimited, you better verify they have funds. Listing agent, if you're accepting that offer, right? If you're accepting a 250 offer versus a 255 offer, and you're accepting on the basis that if it appraises out 20,000 low, they've got the difference to do that, then you need to be saying, listen, you said you're going to put 10% down. You need to give us proof that if you got another 20 or 25,000 above and beyond that to close this thing. So both sides has a duty and a responsibility to be protecting their clients in this process right now. This is the wild, wild west. So one of the things, here's the reason we're talking about it. I had Scott pull at the end of the year that we shared with you guys this statistic. This is more the wild, wild west than I've ever seen before. 28% of agents in Omaha sold nada. Not a single house last year. We have a whole lot more. We got 50% of the market that sold 2 or less houses last year. We've got more uneducated agents. If you're selling 0, 1, or 2 houses a year, there's no way you're understanding these escalation clauses uncapped. You're not understanding the buyer's paying the seller's closing costs, not asking the seller to pay the buyer's closing costs. You're not understanding leasebacks. We've got more uneducated buyers right now. So you've got to do a good job of communicating to that list agent. So what Adam and I gave a speech to Michigan last week. And one of the things Adam said, and then we had Amanda Sway came in there, what their team is doing is that they're going to do something they think out of the norm. They're doing a quick video. They're like, I don't know a lot of these agents. They're like saying, hey, this is Adam Briley. You know, I'm going to be writing an offer with an escalation clause up to this. We will beat any other offer you have. If you have any questions to that, reach out to me. We're going to be paying for X dollars of the seller's closing costs. The buyer's paying the seller's closing costs, not asking the seller to pay the buyer's closing costs. Do a quick little video, introduce yourself, and say, here's we're going to be writing an offer. Here's the terms and conditions of this to give clarity. I like that because here's what's happening. When they're getting 30, 40 offers coming on a house, the listing agent's overwhelmed trying to put a spreadsheet together. They don't have time to be taking 30 different calls from you. So that video idea I thought was a pretty good idea, and they're saying they're having some success with that. But remember, more agents not understanding what's going on than ever before. And the other brokers aren't sitting down I'm hearing other brokers having mastermind groups, but it's kind of like accountability groups. They don't have us as the leadership in there walking through, here's the daily issues that we're having on these things. So we just got a lot of people in the marketplace, including some of our own agents, unfortunately, because I'm having the conversation Friday afternoon, uncapped, and they're like, oh God, I didn't ask them if they had an extra $12,000, $15,000, and they didn't, okay? So we're preaching this because this is what we're seeing every single day. Heather, is there anything else, Jay, that we're really hearing in mastermind groups that just is craziness?
Make sure the other agents at the other.
You've aged 10 years in the last year. Are you okay?
What? I need
Shit. Gina, we're not going to give her a bonus next year, Botox instead, okay? It'll make her feel better, which will make me feel better.
Make sure that the agents at the other companies know that what you mean when you're saying you're going to pay seller closing costs. And I know they can't hear me, so.
Make sure make sure the listing agent at the other company knows if you're writing an offer and explain to them how that helps the appraisal issue, right? If you're saying we're going to pay $5,000 of the seller's closing costs, make sure they understand we're not asking for you to pay the buyer's closing costs. We're doing this because that gives us some buffer, because now basically instead of coming at $255, we're coming at $250, which means if it only appraises at $250, we're okay because we're paying buyer's closing costs. We're helping reduce the risk on the buyer's closing cost. We're helping reduce the appraisal risk of this because the buyer's paying the seller's closing costs. Scott, anything else in these contracts that you want to see? And then I think there's a couple other notes you want to maybe roll through with us, or not? Scott's back from vacation. He's fresh. He's thinking. He's clear.
He's just trying to get a word in edgewise.
It was a fun
Shut
day.
up.
Well, we just talked about that, right? Seller's closing costs. There's a benefit there. One, an appraisal issue, and then two, for your buyer. The lower you can keep that purchase price, but the more it nets out to the seller, it's good for one appraisal. It's also good for lower taxes. So I mean,
Last thing that we're seeing commonly, people are coming in writing a cash offer, and then they're turning around saying, "Oh no, we're going to go get a loan." So you want to talk about that? Or they're saying we're doing a conventional 20% down, and then they're saying, "Oh, we're going to go get a FHA or VA." So the terms of the contract say cash.
So if they want to go get a loan, I shouldn't care as long as my contract's clear that it's a cash offer. Because I'd expect,
but it's now not contingent on that.
Right, it's not contingent on that. It has nothing to do with it. You're going to expect at closing they're going to show up with cash. And if it comes from a loan or doesn't,
You don't care.
That's whatever. They can do whatever they want with that because under my contract, it's still them showing up at closing with cash. Well, yeah, then they'll come in low, and then all of a sudden they'll try to back out of it. But that's them breaching the contract.
So,
That's
but
not
here's
them
the
getting
important
involved
part.
to it.
As the listing agent, if someone comes in with cash and then says, "Oh, we're going to get a loan, we're still going to close on it," and they go get an appraisal, as Stacy's saying here, make sure that you do not sign an addendum changing that from cash to conventional.
Right.
You accept the terms and conditions of that based on that was a cash offer. I mean, that was probably one of the conditions that was a deciding factor in you taking that offer, right? Same thing. If you got something from conventional and all of a sudden they're saying we go to FHA or VA, unless the seller signs off on that, you're not giving them permission to do that. They need to live by the terms and conditions of what they wrote in that offer. So this is when I say it's the wild, wild west, I mean, I've just never seen anything like this. 2007, 8, or 9, Corky, this is more difficult. We got more stuff. I think there's more moving parts today than then. Do you agree? I love, see, when you ask a question, you know they're going to agree with you. That's why you ask questions, guys. Learn that. Don't ask a question.
What about if you put this on the agenda? Because I think that's red flagging it to these appraisers. Oh, if property doesn't appraise.
So to that point, thank you.
You know?
What I kind of like doing is putting that on an addendum. Leave the addendum here. Don't send that off to the lender.
Well, let's face it. Right, the best way to protect yourself as a buyer with a loan is to say it's subject to appraisal, right? But that's not the market we're living in. They're not going to take it, right? And so what we're doing is we're trying to massage the terms within the purchase agreement that we have to try to protect our buyer at the same time making it look like the best offer we can write.
But all I'm hearing is I can put it on an addendum.
Yes,
Right.
you can. Put on addendum. This is meant to be part of the purchase agreement.
The other thing that you're seeing is you're seeing buyers agents saying things like, and I'm going to contribute a portion of my commission, to it, or sellers say, or they're saying, hey, part of this money should go to the commission for it, which it sort of already does. But God, I hate making the commission a negotiable term in any kind of purchase agreement because once, and I know we're in a crazy market, but it generally never seems to go back up after the market changes, and it will. And so starting to put your commission in there as a negotiable term, probably not the best practice for the business.
Canny, you and I had a conversation yesterday that, we got more and more people. We're talking about all the time, and it's EXP and Nebraska really for the most part offering 3.5%, 4% commissions. Our agents are coming saying, well, this will be an offer, this will be an offer, can we do that? And we're like, no, we got to show different value. So we continue to put this floor in there at 5%. I can tell you, a number of you have asked me, why do we not lower that from 5 to 4.5 or 4? And here's the reason. Because let's just say for argument's sake, I say, we're the wild, wild west. Today, you guys can go take 4% listings. You know what EXP and Nebraska really is going to do? They're going to take 3% listings. And to Scott's point, if we say that just because of the times, it's not going to go back up, right? We want 6 and 7% commissions, but we understand the market wins. So we're giving you guys some flexibility. But if we, as the largest broker in the marketplace, do not hold the line on this, and if we do not show value to our clients, this thing's not going to go back up when we get to a normal market. So that is the reason I'm so adamant about this. I just had a conversation with our staff again yesterday. Anybody turns in a listing under 5%, you need to be calling me. They need to be calling me. We don't want that going on. We can't have that. So whether you guys believe it or not, I'm trying to protect you guys, and I'm trying to protect the future of us making a living in this industry. So I'm almost crazy about that, and that's the same thing that we've done with the 2.4, telling the brokers. We had one last week. You had to call it one of the brokers that agreed to pay us 2.4, and they had it in 2.0. We're like, no, change that to 2.4. So it's not easy being us. I'm just going to tell you guys. So I think we're done. We've got a panel I want to run, but this is important stuff. It's coming up daily. That's why I want to spend some time on it. Lori, you've got a minute up there. Let's roll. Switch mics with her, and then why don't we, Corky, why don't you guys come up here and start getting situated, and Shelly. Here, I'll go to the outside.
Good morning.
I think we're good. We got 3 there.
Good morning. I'm Lori Bonstetter with 210 Home Buyers.
We all know who you are, Lori.
Okay. Well, maybe somebody out there doesn't. I brought 2 flyers in. I have a flyer that says real protection for you and your agents, and it talks about the real estate being real professionals, and you should always use a real estate in every transaction. And I brought this flyer. They're out here everywhere. But what I wanted to say, because I'm listening to all of this, and I listen to it every day. So we want to protect the buyer and we want to protect the seller, right? So we do too. So if you put a free listing in place, it costs $0. That's why it's free. You put that in place at the time of listing, It doesn't mean the seller's going to pay for it. It's available. That's all it is it's available for the buyer to purchase. And why is that important? Because the buyers spend a lot of money. So at closing, if you waited till closing and put a warranty in place at closing, it started. Today's the closing day. It started today. And tomorrow something happens. If you put it in place at listing and the listing started
Now you've got a
on-
history of 60 days.
Yeah, you have a history. And even though they're selling fast, just because houses are selling fast, you have a listing today, it's sold tomorrow. It's not closing tomorrow. It's probably closing in 60 days. So there's your history. And it costs the seller nothing. So that's my 4 cents.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So
Whose is that?
nobody's, because our third person, Carmen's up. So, yeah. I don't know who I'm asking, Gina or Maggie? Carmen is popping onto the screen, so are we putting her on here with us, or is that just on Zoom and they'll see her? Oh, she's up there? Oh, hi, Carmen. So, Carmen, we're going to unmute you. Thank you. And we're going to roll. So, we're doing some panels of convention takeaways. And then, guys, I don't know if you've noticed, we've been trying in this virtual world to plug in. So, with Edina Realty, Tom Ferry was a keynote speaker. Corky's going to speak a little bit about that. And then we also, Gina helped me, early, I think, if I recall, April 8th, next Thursday, we're doing with Riz Media. We've signed up as a sponsor for Riz Media again. Did we find out who last time Buffini was the keynote speaker? Is Buffini back again? So Buffini will be speaking again. I'm doing a panel, and I'm doing a one-on-one with John Featherstone for agents. So we'll get all that information out to you by the end of the week. But we're trying to do these things. We're doing these for other brokers is helping us pay a lot less. But we're all trying to get you guys as many opportunities as the world's changing right now to make sure that you're getting as many ideas as humanly possible. So let's start our convention. Carmen, you're up there, so I'm going to start with you, and then I'll let you guys rotate around. Can you tell me what was your favorite session? I don't know how to do this right now, but I'm going to look out here and act like I'm looking at you, Carmen. What was your favorite session or sessions, and what was a couple of your top takeaways from the convention?
So thanks, Vince. Right off the bat, I thought the initial general session was really helpful, where they were talking about IQ and all of the features in that, and the campsite. I thought that was a little bit revolutionary in how they're supporting us in doing our job with regard to marketing. So I'm looking forward to applying quite a bit of that. Some of my favorite sessions, even though I really don't like his style, some of the nuggets that come out of Alan Dalton's were, I had to set aside some particular tendencies that he has that are not always attractive in his presentation, but the nuggets in there are really important for us to pay attention to, which is looking at looking at how we're solving lifestyle solutions for our clients, and how are we being an influential person in their lives and not just the realtor that they may or may not use. So becoming that influencer that is their go-to person in many different areas, and promoting the community, I thought was really helpful for me to look at that sort of bigger picture and be sort of the go-to person for the community. And then finally, the other one.
So Carmen, on that, what were some of his top ideas of ways to be that influencer? So because you're that influencer, the implication is they're going to use you, right? Because you're giving them value.
Right. So one of his ideas, which I am not going to do anytime soon, was talking about making videos and all of that. But what I did discover, I'm a big fan of David Brown at the Chamber. And so I went to the Chamber, and they actually have, as of February 2021, they have their We Don't Coast magazine. And so I've started putting that in my email at the bottom of my signature. I also have 2 lenders who have referred me to some clients that are moving into town. And so sent that link to them and say, hey, you want to get to know a little bit more about Omaha? Here's some great stuff going on. It talks about UNMC, different developments, different parts of town that have some really great things happening. And so that's a great, I'm not trying to sell me, I'm selling my community. And here's a resource for you that doesn't, again, it's not selling. it's informing. And
So
so I've really appreciated having that resource that I can tap into and not create my own video. So that was one example of highlighting.
Is the second part of that selling your community, but is the second part of that in this crazy industry right now, educating them on the changing market conditions, i.e. equity, appreciation, interest rates and so forth. So is all part of that, I guess, I'm sorry, that's all that's influencing them because
Well,
you're
his
educated.
thing was becoming an influencer, but then when you talk about educating, like within a marketing appointment, he talked about something that I really am trying to apply and kind of shift my appointment a little bit. He talked about discussing different philosophies with your sellers and approaching it from 3 different philosophies and asking them which one they align with. Looking at data driven, the less is more, right? If we price it a little bit under, and then we can often get more, or the retail. So they want to price it higher and have that wiggle room for negotiation. Everybody's got a different philosophy, and to ask them which philosophy aligns with them. And, some of the time they will actually say, well, what's the data say? And now you have that opportunity. They're asking you for the data instead of you sort of having to tell them, well, not every seller, if you haven't touched it since 1972, you're not going to get multiple offers over asking necessarily, if you're going to ask 100,000 over.
Perfect. Shelley, so we're going to circle back to you, so don't unzoom us. What was your favorite session and what was your takeaways out of that?
Well, am I on?
Is she
Can you
on?
guys hear me? Okay.
Back there?
First of all, thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome.
My top takeaway was the whole thing, but general session, I was really focused on it because you told me I had to learn the IQ system, which
Yes.
made me have a heart attack. And then I got onto these calls.
It's not going to
the
do much
last
good
call,
if you have a heart attack to learn the IQ system, so I prefer you not.
So anyway, no, so I really listened intently. And so the IQ system really is to allow us to use the system to create an ecosystem and close the loyalty gap.
And creating an ecosystem means what?
Well, the ecosystem is basically everything that we're involved with, from title to our contractors.
Right.
And
So
really
it's the
influencing
partners
them.
and the other vendors and us all building upon each other, right? And using each other as a vehicle to add value and get business.
Right. And I just actually, while you were talking about the contract, because I was in that managers meeting yesterday, the Real Estate Influence book by Chris Stewart, I believe it's like page 16 through 20, talks about the ecosystem and how we can go ahead and get together with our contractors and really create a story about them, and encouraging our past clients and our future unsuspecting sellers to use those services as a directive to increase value and really create that marketing proposal in a way where we're increasing the value of the property by telling them a story of how we can connect them with the right people.
And stories are powerful.
Yeah, stories are really
Who's
powerful.
the last quote on the back of the book?
The last quote on the book, it's a Vince Lisi,
And what's his title?
CEO, Omaha, Nebraska.
I'm the CEO of Omaha now. I've been promoted.
So,
I have informed, not Berkshire Hathaway, but I've informed Warren Buffett. He now works for me. I will be getting a massive raise soon.
and one of
I
the
did not know that I'm the CEO of Omaha. I'm going to call the mayor also.
Yeah, and I did say yesterday that I felt like everything in this book was everything that Vince has been telling us in our sales meetings for years, along with our mastermind group. So I appreciate all the content. I felt like Alan Dalton needed to dumb it down just a little bit because his acronyms and lots of things were probably a little bit higher level than your standard agent would like to listen to, because we all have ADHD, so we like to just get to the bottom of it. So I did gather something that I thought may be influential and helpful for you as a realtor, and I took notes, and of course I used the most expensive paper, the stock card, so sorry, Vince. But he was talking about, sorry, I figured I wouldn't lose it.
Cancel the Riz Media thing.
No, there you go, it costs too much money. But this is important, so listen up, take notes. Your marketing acronym. So just remember SAVE, S-A-V-E, and SAVE, the S stands for solutions. We have to create a solution for the buyer. So we have to ask our seller, why did you buy the house? What is your lifestyle? And connect that with the buyer. So are you close to trains? Are you close to the schools? Are you are you living a lifestyle that creates something different than everybody else? Like Midtown Crossing, that's a lifestyle, right? Or maybe you're downtown and the old market area, that's a lifestyle as well. So it's important for us to put that into the marketing proposal. And then A stands for access. We have to allow the marketing plan to have access not only to the property, but also to that lifestyle. V stands for value. As agents, we must create value, not only for us as realtors, but we have to create that story, share the story with the buyer's agent to get them excited about coming into the property. But we also have to create value for our industry and for the brokerage. And then educate. We must educate through range and reach the IDX, but then we become the influencer and we educate them on that lifestyle. So it's kind of full circle. So that was pretty powerful right there. So it's really, we have to, in the social media standpoint, we have to make influences for the buyer and then manage the flow of the content, monitor what's working, what's not working, and then go back and then have discussions with the seller. And we create that in that marketing proposal. And so Alan talks a lot about not talking about the listing presentation, but changing our mindset, because all we're doing is we're cheapening who we are as an industry, and we need to rise to the standard and really show them where our strengths are. And it really is us being the influencers, the skill set to negotiate, and to bring a higher price because of the staging and having that ecosystem where we're able to create a property from, creating it from nothing to something and creating a story. So
Perfect.
That's kind of what
and
I gathered.
at the end of this, Jay, we're going to be getting out, Shelley, over the next month, a lot of stuff on the IQ system, getting you implemented and how to build relationships and how to grow your business. Slim Shady's brother, Trevor, shoot away. What do we got?
For the record, it is Shade,
Yes.
not Shady. I know there's been some confusion. It's all right. It's been my whole life.
Well, you ask Shannon Lacey, she'll tell you it's Shady.
Yeah, a little confusion. It's all right though. Maybe that's just whose relationship is close enough.
That was a lot of cocktails at Vegas.
It was so funny. And a legitimate disagreement. So a group of us on the team, we just liked the opportunity of getting together face to face and all that. So we actually went down to Kansas City and made our own little mini conference, and found a boutique hotel. And I figured out Apple TVs and laptops and stacked trash cans on top of themselves, so it sat up high enough, and we just kind of took over the lobby. And so we prefer, we like a lot of different sessions, and we talked about which ones people wanted to attend and which ones had an actual schedule. The bulk of everyone really honed in on university sessions. And so as we figured out which ones we wanted and who overlapped, we just kind of broke apart and came back together for different ones. We all kind of had one that was our favorite. I like things that are simple. I know some of you have met me and you don't believe that, but I really do like things that are just super dumbed down and simple. I don't like to exert as much mental energy as I show. And so the six levers, there we go. The 6 levers to grow your business. Listing Labs is the coaching company that put it on, and it was just simple, concise, the predictable, the timeless, the tested, that always works, but it was delivered in a way that it really forced you to come up with some of your own new ideas. So I'll tell you the 6, and then 3 of them that I thought were really worth honing in on. You got lead generation, nurture, which I would call client generation. You can generate leads all day long. That's great, whether it's open houses or whatever. But if you never actually convert those into clients, you're not focused on it. And they call it nurture. That's great. I like client generation better personally. I think you have to turn leads into clients, even if it's next year's clients. The sales and the successful sales conversations, which I'll run through that. And then your delivery methods, asking referrals, and making sure to capitalize on repeats. So those are your 6 levers. The pieces that I really liked about it, so 1, 2, and 3, lead generation, nurturing, sales. I tell people a lot of the times, most of us are really talented in one of 2 opposing methods. We're really good at kumbaya and relationships and warming people up and the drop the walls and all of that, and then the business walks out the door and we never get a phone number. or you'll always be closing and you never miss an opportunity and people are freaked out by you and you have a really hard time getting any trust. And I have always believed that to figure out which one is your nature is great, and then learn the other skill set, because you have to have both. And that's what I liked a lot about their 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 2, lead generation and client generation. I mean, that's that. How do you win people over, and how do you warm them to you, and what methods can we use in today's market, day and age? And then the number 3, sales, successful sales conversation. Again, timeless, simple. Setting expectations. There's 8 points to this. Setting expectations, asking more questions than making statements, listen without an agenda. I mean, so many of these are like, well, duh, but do we do them? And it makes me laugh, because how many times do we listen without an agenda? I hate those little one-liners. Yeah, listening's easy, right? Listening without an agenda. Treat them like you would a friend. Give them advice like they're a friend. Get on the same side as the table as them, both physically, but then also in the conversation. Resist over-explaining and overselling. Yeah, a struggle, okay? I know. Focus on the benefits versus features, which also I think plays into a lot of what Scott and Vince were talking about with the contract and defining best for your client, protecting them in one way or another, and figuring out, what do they care about, and making sure that that's wrapped up in the contract, not necessarily all possible scenarios that have to be and could be. Well, maybe they're like, well, yeah, I only want 5 offers. Well, all right, broker exclusive, you're going to at least get that, and it's simpler and smoother. But if you want 34 offers to weed through because you really want to maximize the number and then play with the appraisal, define best differently for everybody. Handle objections before they come up. So those are the 8 points inside of sales. So that was the session that I think most of us got the most out of, and it was simple, timeless, tested, concise.
You got some great notes. Gina, still these, I think both these people got some great notes. Let's still these to get back out. I'm going to circle back. I want the 3 of you to be thanked. I want one of them. I really enjoyed the lady, the keynote speaker, the second day, the woman pilot. So I'd like someone to come back and maybe if you have any thoughts about that or look in your notes somewhere. Tom Ferry, I think we had this thing with Edina last week, and he was the keynote speaker. So talk away 2 or 3 or 4 of the top takeaways you took from that.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. His big thing was, am I on?
You guys hear him back there? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, his big thing was, and he called it the bifurcation of our market right now. And going back to something you said earlier, according to him, the NAR stats are 40% of all realtors didn't do a side in 2020. And
wow, we're kicking everyone's butt in Omaha at 28%.
Yeah, and he was talking about how you're either stuck or you're scaling. And he used the example of even if you did 100 deals last year, which for a lot of us would be a spectacular year, if that's the maximum that you can do, then you need to start scaling your business. And I can go through them. He
Please.
gave 7 things that he recommends that you do. But he started off, the 4 overviews were, first of all, what is my strategy? In other words, what is my mission? He talked about profit. He said, a lot of us look really good about what we're doing. At the end of the year, we don't have anything left to show for it. People, surrounding yourself with good people. It's kind of the Steve Jobs thing. Surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. Which in my case would be hard to do. But,
Right. I mean, it's hard to believe how they're smarter than me, but it's possible.
No, it's not. No.
She's not.
Number 4 is what are your tactics? And he talked about Blockbuster Video versus Netflix. Are you optimized or are you minimized? Which of course Blockbuster got stuck and they're no longer around. But the adding the tactics to scale. Number 1, add more lead sources, and I know that's an obvious one. Improve conversion. I'm going to put my glasses on.
Did he talk about how to improve conversion? Because that's really a struggle today, I think.
Yeah, he did. It was about 50 minutes long if you listen to it. So it was a lot of meat and potatoes. Number 3, add an assistant. Number 4, add a marketing coordinator. Number 5, add better software to streamline your business. Number 6, he really talked about this. Add a checklist to make sure that you are getting everything done on a weekly basis that you need to do, and then add more time to focus on your listings.
Perfect.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
well, again, he just was talking about how to maximize your time, and then a big part of that is again, going back to the scaling, is bringing people in around you that you need. So you did 100 deals last year, and you go, man, that's all I can do. Well, he's saying that's the point you need to scale. What do I need to do? What do I need to bring in to get myself to that next level?
So I'm assuming, I know Tom fairly well, that he's really kind of talking about there. One is figure out your highest and best use that's going to make you most productive, and then bring these other people in. And don't be doing, if you're, Tom talks a lot about money, and I know that he talks about know your value. And if you're doing 100 deals a year, you're probably worth $250 an hour or something like that. Don't be doing $20 an hour work, right? We've had this conversation last week, right? For you to continue to take your business next level, hire these people to do these type of things, make sure you hire good people to do these type of things, and then focus on, I mean, did he dive into that stuff at all?
A little bit. I mean, you know, he said by nature, because of what we do, we all know that if you want it done right, you do it yourself. And he said, you've got to get away from that mentality. Again, you've got to—
Because it's limiting.
The quality people and get them in the quality spots that can do those things for you, which allows you to do what you want to do, and that is list and sell properties.
You said he talked about a text that I talked about, a buddy of mine in Michigan did. He said that's a Tom Ferry thing, that there's a text going out. Do you have the verbiage on that text or something close to it?
Yeah, and he did this over a, did this over a 4-week period. And he ended up with basically kind of doing the math, a 5% return on it, but it's, hey, fill in the blank. Hope you and your family are doing well. Crazy times. The real estate market is, in his case, he did the little emojis, bananas, did half a dozen of them. If you haven't heard, and I was reaching out to you, see if you're curious about the
Value of your house?
Yeah, the value of the market in your house. And anyway, he went through, I don't have the breakdown here, but he went through the numbers that he got back, and you know, they ended up with about 5% listings.
And as simple as this sounds, a good friend of mine who was number 3 mid-team in Michigan, Mark Brace, said he's even dummied this down. He just sends a text says, hey, he's not even putting their name on there. I'd recommend putting their name on there. Hey, I don't know if you've heard, the market is bananas. The same thing, put the banana things. If you'd like to know the value of your house, would you like to know the value of your house? ? And he says this is a gold mine. He is getting people, person after person reaching out to him, just responding back to that text. So these simple little things, if we do them, now we can flood Omaha with a bunch of bananas, but these simple little things will get you a result.
I'll give you one more. I thought
Please.
This was good also. And this is when you're making your phone calls. How has COVID, and so there's a pause. How has COVID in the last year of the pandemic changed the way you feel? He capitalized feel about your home. And then he said, shut up and listen and let them verbalize. And once they verbalized and you having a dialogue about it, so what price would you consider selling your home at? And then the last one was, he said, send a CMA to all of your sides that you worked with between 2010 and 2018.
Right, because those people have gained great equity,
Yep.
right? And that's what Megan Owens does. We send that out all the time. She sends out twice a year that to everyone in her center of influence, a neighborhood analysis showing basically, and she put in there, look at how much equity you've gained over the last 5 or 6 years. So Tom does a great job of really, he's kind of like, he comes a little bit from his dad. He likes you to follow his script. But the concept is if you do close to that and put in your own personality, these things work.
Right.
What did he say about the market as we're heading forward over the next year? Did he address the market at all?
Well,
he usually has an opinion.
Just a little bit. And he's, again, getting back to this, are you scaling or are you stuck, is that we're in a market that's peaking and it's going to turn. He didn't predict when, but
Okay.
I mean, you know, anybody can say that, right?
It's going to turn in that when interest rates go up, and things can't go up forever.
Yeah. But again, the big thing was be prepared.
Got it. Thank you. Good stuff. So I'm going back to you guys. General session. Could someone talk about that lady? I really was impressed. You got that one?
Okay, I don't have my notes, so I cannot remember her name, but she was in the military, and
She was a Marine. She was a Marine pilot.
Marine pilot, but she came from really nowhere and became something, and it was really interesting to hear her story. She was raised in an environment where it was probably not as conducive as to what we were raised in. She had a lot of things going against her. Wanted to be a police officer. Decided that she was going to go into the military, and because she was young and she was Black, she had so many limitations placed against her, but that never stopped her from seeing who she wanted to become. And so she always just had that vision, kind of like how we do vision board. She had that vision. She had that directive. She followed, really whatever the principle was that was placed before her. Ended up having to go out on a mission, and it wasn't going as planned. Was in an airplane, was running low on, fuel, and by all rights, she had every reason to abandon that mission. But she stuck with the plan. She listened to her, I don't know if it was a general or who it was, whoever, people that were telling her where to go. They were going on this mission. They had to go save these people. And, at that moment, she did not see herself returning. She knew
Right. She had 20 minutes of gas.
Yeah,
She had to
yep.
complete the plan
Yep.
to get back to base. She's like, how am I going to do in 20
Right.
minutes? Get there, bomb this thing, save these people, and get back.
Right, and so she, at the very end, we all know that she made it, right, because she's telling
she's
her
speaking.
story, right. And she went back and she was telling people, and people are like, "Oh man, that just took so much courage." How did that make you feel? And she would ask people, "Well, what do you think it took for me to get through there?" And of course, she heard the word courage, she heard the word
Teamwork.
prayer, teamwork, faith, but ultimately, it was do you remember?
Plan.
The plan.
Yep.
And so that was her whole statement was devise a plan, stick to the plan, work your plan, and you'll have success. And really surround yourself around good, solid people that believe in you. And first of all, believe in yourself and never, ever, ever give up on yourself. I think all too often we give up on ourselves before we even make the plan.
Right. And so a lot of it, she says the teamwork mattered, right? Surround yourself with good people. All these things matter. But at the end of the day, we need a plan, right? And so I feel like as real estate agents, we're kind of shooting from the hip all the time in all these different directions. We don't really have a plan. Buffett says what he does is he does this annually, but he also does this weekly. He goes through all of his priorities. He lists them out. He figures out the top 3, and he basically rips up the rest. He says, focus on the few. Understand what's most important that's going to help you be most productive, and ultimately at the end of the day, that's going to help you continue to grow and be more successful at whatever you do if you can focus in on a plan and on a few things. Carmen, anything you wanted to add to the general speaker? Otherwise, I'm going to start with you. Your last takeaway from convention that you want to share with us.
Yeah, I was just really thrilled that they brought her on. I thought she was very motivating and was pleased to see somebody other than, no offense, Vince, but a white guy. Somebody else that's had a different life experience.
Heather, I
It was
guess you'll have to be up here next time.
It was very invigorating. So I was really pleased that they brought her on. The other takeaway was that, we talked about how people really felt like it was a bust because it didn't have the energy. But for this particular conference, the key takeaway is the education and being able to go back to those university sessions, watch them again, figure out what elements you can apply. Because typically you're there and you're drinking from a fire hose and you're all excited, but then when you get back, you might remember one thing that you can apply. This is our opportunity to dig in, really figure out what are the few elements that we can apply right away. And so the education element on this particular conference, I thought was off the charts.
Yeah, and so by the way, we had 270 people sign up. All 267, you have the ability for now probably another 24, 25 days to go back and watch any of the sessions you did not watch and do that. And we're going to be having some training classes over the next month also. We end up at 350. So all 350 of you have the ability to go back in there, even if you watched none of them in the beginning, to go back in and watch anything that you want over the next up to 30 days from the date of the convention. So the next 20 whatever days it is. Top takeaways from convention.
Top takeaway was, first of all, thanks for bringing it to Omaha, Nebraska. Woohoo! All right, so
well, I am the CEO of Omaha, so I can do whatever I want.
Thanks, Vince.
Hope everyone else learns that fast.
That's right. So speaking of being the mayor of Berkshire, that's what Alan Dalton was talking about. We need to become the mayor of our communities. And so I loved how he talked about coming up with campaigns, like video campaigns about your community. And one of the campaigns that he came up with was Move Over Manhattan, right? So he's trying to get people to come to a different community. So I'm going to say, move over Omaha, Nebraska. Come to Fremont. Much cheaper and lower taxes, better people, state lakes, lower whatever.
Hey now, better people. I don't know.
Better people. That's right.
No.
Anyway, so it's just going to be fun to get out there, do these videos. And he talked about, hiring a videographer and coming up with really great scripts. And why not? It's COVID. Everybody's watching videos. And he did go through the stats really quick that this is crazy. 1.7 billion websites that you're competing against, 50 million blogs, and you must establish yourself as the trusted source in the industry. So we're going to help you get there this year. We're going to give you the confidence, and we're looking forward to teaching all about it.
Thank you.
I don't remember for sure which session it was. Either the one I was talking about before, it might have been, there's one that said 5 tactical something. But similarly, they pointed out, okay, yeah, get good at getting creative to drum up the business. Great. And yes. And then take a minute and then also pause and go, yeah, but make sure also when you're in the appointments, you are capitalizing on them. And don't just get good at drumming up the business and then something happens, or drumming up the business and then they decide to sell it to their neighbor. Drum up the business, yes, but then also get a higher conversion rate for yourself. Focus on it, track it, know how many appointments you do that you walk out of there without something occurring, and shift that as well, and actually put a intentional focus on making sure that improves in addition to drumming up the business.
So a big part of that is if you don't get the listing or you don't get business, what you really need to do is a follow-up. You need to follow up and say, find out what the other person did that they liked, but figure out, is there something that you did that you can improve? All part of that is looking in the mirror. That's the only way you're going to continue to improve the process.
Yeah, they talked about, how many hours and how much work do we do drumming up new business? Great. If you just capitalize twice as well on the appointments you're sitting down with, you have to drum up half the business.
Right. Perfect. Any last thoughts on the Tom Ferry stuff?
Yeah, just there's a schism in our market that's going on between agents, and there's the haves and the have-nots, and all of us, it's going to be incumbent on us to continue to plan and continue to build so that we're on the top side of that schism, not on the bottom side.
Yep. Guys, I appreciate it. Let's give these guys a big hand for sharing their knowledge. Thank you, Carmen. So I'm gonna wrap this up here real quick. The first mastermind group out of this IQ system, one is, please, Gina, we'll be sending out a link to everyone in our company with Maggie, help us on this, with a link to the resource center to sign up for the IQ system. Once you sign up the first time, you can just go directly into the IQ system. There's a search bar at the very top to try to search categories. So we're going to continue to educate you on this, but we want fresh ideas flowing in there. This IQ system works best in building and nurturing relationships and helping everyone grow their business. If ultimately at the end of the day, we're all putting ideas in there, there's an instant inspiration conversation there, which is, here's the trending things of what people are doing, what's working for them, and how it's working. So we want to use that as a vehicle for our training classes and for sales meetings and for mastermind groups to get ideas out of. The first mastermind group was going to be Chairman Circle Diamonds. So I'm not sure exactly who, but a couple of you guys are for sure Chairman Circle Diamonds. There's 547, I think is what Chris told me yesterday in our conference call, in the whole network. We were going to do it April 14th and 15th. I got a call from Candace Adam, a broker in the Northeast, and a couple other brokers saying, listen, that's awful short notice. They were going to be 4 hours each day. After our conversation yesterday, we narrowed it down to 2 hours and 15 minutes each day. We're going to have two sessions with panels for the whole group. Did I give you those dates on that? I think it's May. It's a Wednesday and Thursday, May 11th and 12th or something like that. We've moved it back a little bit to get everyone some more time to put that in their schedule. So it's going to be 2 hours and 10 minutes on a Wednesday, 2 hours and 10 minutes on a Tuesday. We're going to be personally reaching out to everyone. I think we have 25 in our company that are Chairman Circle Diamonds is what I've told, to get you on there. We will be coming back sharing those ideas with you guys. And then there's going to be additional mastermind groups for all Chairman Circle winners, President Circle winners, and Leading Edge winners moving forward. Chris and I will help be setting those things up. So we're excited. We moved it primarily because Julie Tartaglia has a crush on Chris. She's going to be out of town April 14th and 15th. So I said, Chris, I just don't think we can do this without Julie. He says, Vince, whatever you want for Julie, let's move this to May. So Julie damn well better show up in May. I can tell you that right now. So her husband doesn't like Chris that well, but I think they're going to get over this. You know, long term, I think we'll be fine. So guys, I appreciate you. Yes, you know what? No, we'll do Jay next time. We're out of time. Get up here, Jay. Jay started, he's tearing, he's crying. You Zoom people, do we have any Zoom people left?
Yeah.
All right. So broker exclusives, we keep struggling. How do we, yes, take it, Jay, for God's sakes. Bossy people.
I know.
Corky, did he say hire bossy people or good people?
What? Yeah.
So
Well, this works. It usually only takes me a minute. So
let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay, we're
Sorry.
talking about business
Sorry,
today,
sorry.
Jay.
Oh,
For God's sakes.
all right, broker exclusive. I don't talk much. So we have it on 3 different places now. So when you go to Facebook, on our Facebook page, it's posted and pinned to the top.
Private
There's
Facebook page.
The private Facebook page. So you can click on it. You can have it's just like a survey. You just submit it. And then once you post it, it's automatically onto this spreadsheet or database. And so once you submit it, though, you cannot edit it. So if you need anything to edit, we have the 2 contacts that you have on the Facebook private page. If you go on to bhhsamb.com, back on Agent Tools, I have links to both these things as well. And then also we have a new website, which is ambAgentTools.com, which is going to be kind of taking place of what is on the BHHS AMB page, which we're going to have like the Tom Ferry event. I'm going to go ahead and post that YouTube video along with all of the slides so you can go back and watch that. We'll have all the broker exclusive, and we're going to be video recording all of our classes. And I wanted to remind Matt Beers, we're going to start promoting that too. We have kind of a top agent series. Marie Otis has always helped us with goal setting and time management, but we're going to have Matt Beers teaching a video class next week as well. And then we're going to have John Keating and other.
So all those things are on there. If they want to find broker exclusive, how do they search for that?
It says broker exclusive. You just click on it, and there's one link that you need to look at, and they're just all right there.
So we'll send out a dummy down, simple version to everyone, how to get there and what all is going to be on there. Anything else?
That's it.
1 minute. You're out of here.
All right.
All right. Guys, have a great week. Continue to work. You got any questions on contracts, any confusion, reach out to us. We're here to help you. Appreciate you. Thank you to our panelists. Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. Bye, guys.